Hello, welcome to this video. And my name is Yamiel, and I help people through when they're going through the divorce process, before the divorce, during and after the divorce. Welcome. Divorce or separation, actually. Don't have to be married. All right. So today I want to talk about something that I always, when I speak on the phone with somebody that it's upset, still going through a lot of emotion stuff. Um, if they allow me, I give them some suggestions on how to kind of process what's going on and try to start healing, from the get go. And one of the things that I recommend a lot to people is actually to go through therapy if they can. And there are online resources. I have a link down below for one of them that I highly recommend to my clients, and people have told me that it's been amazing. Um, so if you don't have time to go drive somewhere, you can just take the video call or phone call on the car at your lunch break or something like that. But talking with somebody that it's not in the relationship, that it's not in the heat of it, versus calling a family member that may take issues if you guys reconcile, or your best friend that may see things, oh yeah, fuck, screw him, you don't need him or you don't need her, you do you, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, there's still a lot of maybe it can be solved. Maybe there's something trauma from the past or something that is not allowing you to open up or allowing the other person, I really recommend, highly recommend speaking with somebody, that it's neutral, and usually a therapist is a good place to start. A therapist doesn't mean that you're crazy. Going to a therapist just means that you have that a kind of somebody else that um, can listen to the situation and be completely neutral and see things a little bit and maybe help you see the viewpoint of the other person and maybe how to approach it in a way that may not be toxic, and even if you decide to move on with a separation where that is not, it becomes a better thing for you versus a bad thing for you, if that makes any sense. So that's really, I really highly recommend therapy. And if there's children in the mix, obviously therapy for the children so they can process everything. Children blame everything on themselves, and they take on a lot of the pain from the adults, and they don't show it, but they do. And so having the children attend therapy, even if it's a few sessions, will really help. And therapy is usually more than just one session. Don't believe the hype when you see 90 Day Fiancé and you see them like, oh yeah, they go to therapy one time. That's not enough. That's not enough. Okay. All right. So another thing that I want to suggest is try to see if there's any possible way to work on the marriage, on the actual communication. There's a workshop that I took not too long ago, and it's actually down below. It's called Save My Marriage, and it's an online thing. It's self-guided, and it really helps you to try to, if you're going to stay together or you're going to reconcile, try to work on the communication. And Save My Marriage is something that can help you and your spouse, understand where you're failing each other, and come up with a new plan, come up with a new way of communicating, come up with a new, just new paradigm of what things can you do. I get a lot of I operate Divorce in Florida online, and we get a lot of people that the first thing they do is they call us to get the paperwork started. And sometimes, and I can feel it, sometimes it's really like blackmail, so I prepare the documents and then they tell me, oh, I don't need you anymore, because they just wanted to kind of get their spouse, like push them to do something or push them to change. Here's the papers. You see, I'm serious. I paid somebody to get the papers done. And then, they, based on that fear of losing the stability, then they reconcile, but they don't really fix the issues. They don't really go deep. They don't really change, it's and the change is temporary because there were no new tools available to that person to change. um, Sometimes we have the best intentions, but we usually go back to the whoever we were before. We don't We go back to whoever we were before. We don't move forwards. We don't really. Sometimes we agree to do something just to keep the status quo the same, but we don't really move forward. We don't really say, okay, I know, my spouse doesn't like me to throw things around. Well, I'll do it. I'll do it for her, but I don't really believe in it. Then it becomes something that is just not healthy because it's not, you don't believe in it. It's not, so when you don't believe in something, it's not going to be a steady change, but it's actually, you may feel bad about that person. You feel like, oh, he's nagging me, oh my god, and it doesn't become like this is for the betterment of the family. You don't see it that way. You see it as, no, this is just, she's just being neurotic about this and I don't agree, but I'm going to do it. So going through therapy and doing, the save my marriage workshop type of deal can help you kind of, okay, try to see it from the other person's perspective, but also not push someone to change just because it makes you happy, but maybe to negotiate certain things that perhaps, you know, you can work with, and maybe there's a way of communicating something, from a point of love and not from a point of fear. We usually, as humans, we act either from the love spectrum. We are in love, we do it lovingly, or we do it from fear. So when we do it from fear, we may balk, we may come out too strong, we may just, I want it this way, have it my way type of, um, you know, Burger King. So, when we act from love, then it's just love. It seems different, but sometimes it takes us a while to understand why we're doing something out of anger. What's triggering us, and either therapy or the workshop, Save My Marriage, really helps you work through those things. I don't believe those people that use like divorce papers as yeah, here's divorce paper, I'm gonna divorce you because you won't do XYZ, and the other person says, oh no, let's sit down, let's talk about it, blah blah blah, and they talk about it, but they don't have any new tools. Guess what? They come right around a few months later and say, Yamiel, let's put that through because yeah, it didn't work out. That's because they didn't have any new tools. They came, they reconciled with the same energy, with the same thought process. They didn't evolve. When you reconcile, you want to reconcile from two different, same people, but different tools. Like otherwise, you're gonna have the same result. In psychology, you do the same thing, you expecting different results. Insanity. So when you have two people that have been grown up certain way with certain backgrounds, with certain, childhood trauma, or not even trauma, just childhood ways of being raised, and then you're trying to bring two people that are completely different places, completely different mentalities, completely different maturity levels. You need to come back. If you're going to come back, you need to come back with new tools. You need to come back with new resources. Coming back just out of fear of the unknown or out of fear of losing someone, then you're not acting out of love. It's not going to be sustainable. It's going to be stressful, and you're going to be pushing forward, on something that is feel like a lot of baggage, like it's painful, it's difficult, and then you're going to question it, and then you're going to break up again, and that's why you see so many couples that they are separate and they go back, and then they're separate and then go back, and that's because they're coming back together out of fear. They're not coming back together out of love and understanding of the other person. The biggest challenge that we have is truly understanding other people, understanding where they're coming from, and then kind of modifying our expectations, because sometimes our expectations are way too high. And I say it for myself. Sometimes your expectations are so high that the other person just cannot meet them, and maybe the expectations are not that critical that can be, you know, kind of, okay, where can we negotiate this? But again, having the tools to negotiate in a way that is beneficial to both parties is extremely important. If you've ever heard of Teal Swan, look her up on Facebook. No, on YouTube. She has a video on transactional relationships, and which was mind blowing for me. It really helped me understand that, you know, relationships, you have to meet you have to meet your own expectations, but you also have to see what the expectations of the other person is and speak about them clearly, not put things under the rug until one day they explode, you know. And but how to do that, how to communicate, how to, you know, to get that knowledge and understanding, and understand yourself, to understand why you're the way that you are. That's very important too. All right, this is it for today. I thank you so much. Big hug from here. Mwah. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.